Hello and welcome to the Sutliffian Report. Today we have a lot of interesting things to cover as far as Sharia and the Hajj. And at the end of the show, we are definitely going to talk about the verdict that just rolled in, where Trump is now declared a felon, which legally allows him to be removed from your state's election for president. So this is going to get interesting. So we're definitely going to be talking about that at the end of the show. And this is going to be, if you are like me, you are a Christian and you believe in prayer, this is time to get on your knees. I'm kind of shocked myself. Did not expect that answer. So as this is a Christian show, let's... It's funny, the passage I picked for today, I always pick a passage, and I just learned that a few minutes ago, just before the show, just before Rad called and said something. But this is going to get interesting. And here's the topic. We're reading today Luke 6:21b. It's the second half of the verse to verse 23. Blessed are you that weep now, for you shall laugh. Blessed are you when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. Rejoice you in that day, and leap for joy. For behold, your reward is great in heaven. For in the like manner did their fathers unto the prophets. Psalms 126, verses 5 and 6 say, They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. He that goes forth and weeps, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again, with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him. It's hard to grasp how tears can bring forth laughter, but when it's applied to standing before God in prayer for a child in pain, then when the prayer is answered and that child is no longer in pain, it brings joyous laughter and great joy. We come to God with our needs and tears, begging for his help. When it's granted, we should be praising his name and shouting with joy, and the laughter it brings, knowing we have a God who listens to our prayers. This week, we had two people in my church, we had two people we've been praying for who have had cancer. Two people cleared of cancer. One of the doctors had said to the man, I can't see any signs that you had cancer. And that's quite a statement. One person's daughter had kidney surgery, and the kidney surgery they had was on one side, and she had scarring on both kidneys, and now they can't even find scarring on the kidneys. So again, prayer changes things. Let me continue. The disciples of Christ were to be hated for their love of Christ. Remember, these men had left all to follow Jesus. Some of their family were probably upset with that choice, not unlike today when some find Jesus and family members ask, how could you become a Christian? Standing on the word of God today sometimes means you must stand alone. Persecution. It's something none of us wants. Yet we must stand sure and strong if we want to be more like Jesus. We should not complain about this persecution, but thank God for it. Should we petition God for help during it? Absolutely. But we should also be thankful that we were counted worthy to be persecuted for what his love has done to us, to make us worthy of being persecuted for his name's sake. Let's start with a prayer. Dear Lord Jesus, thank you, Lord. This country is in a lot of trouble, Lord. Lord, we ask for special protection, Lord, right now, that you would intervene. We're asking for divine intervention here. There's just something only you can take care of as quickly as possible. Lord, we ask that you would bless this show tonight, Lord, that you would not only bring people here that need to hear the gospel, Lord, and to make a choice about Islam, whether they should leave it or not, Lord, but that people would listen and learn and understand what Islam teaches rather than what people are being told. Lord, help us to deliver nothing but facts, a lot more than opinions. And Lord, help us to get this important message across. In your name, amen. I have a lot to share tonight, and I'm kind of laughing about the content somewhat because I actually talked to Usama a little while ago, and that was solely about a translation issue. And we'll be talking about that. And I was just sharing with Sharon how I wasn't sure if this was pervy enough where I had to put up the warning sign or siren sounds, and I'm like, I'm hoping it's just too far above some people's heads that they won't grasp what's being said. And I'm going to try to leave it at that, but I will let people come to their own conclusions and make their own thoughts. That this is going to be an interesting piece because this show has to share what is going on. We're talking about the incredibly strange things that happen during the Hajj. I wouldn't have said incredibly strange until we got into this and we started looking at what exactly happens during the Hajj. What does the Sharia say should happen? Why are there sexual assaults happening when it says that invalidates a Hajj? Well, is that a reason for the sexual assaulter to come back every time until he can make it through the Hajj without sexually assaulting someone? I mean, these are sad, sorry truths that we have to think about. One of the things we're going to be talking about today is part of the history of the Kaaba, and that's going to be important as we get going. We have been talking about a lot of different things, but all of this with the Hajj, I mean, we've talked about how you have to be in this state of purity, this they call imram, how you can't have sex after you've entered that state, and how long this lasts. We've showed Muslim videos on what you're supposed to do during the entire process. I mean, giving their side of things and then looking at what Sharia says. Today, you might find some Sharia contradictions. You're going to find, I would say, some surprising statements. And this is going to get a little, I would say, weird, strange. It's going to make you, at some point, it's going to make you do a double take. And Darcy's, are you able to join us reading right now? And I'm going to guess not. Sharon, would you mind reading first?
Sure. Entering Mecca. It is recommended when one wants to enter Mecca, 1, to perform the purificatory bath outside the city with the intention of entering Mecca. 2, to enter in the daytime and from the Mu'alla gate of Thaniyat Kara. Number 3, to walk barefoot provided one does not apprehend something unclean. 4, not to annoy anyone by jostling. 5, and after entering, to proceed to the Al-Masjid Al-Haram.
And I just want to remind everybody, haram means forbidden. And you're going to the forbidden place because the Hajj is required that you, this is the thing that will never make sense to me in Islam. The one place they tell you have to go once in your life has the name forbidden. It's like saying, do the bad thing. Got to do the bad thing. Okay. I'm still stuck with that one. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Ooh, I apologize. I had to get a couple different, had to get another keyboard. So sometimes I'm accidentally hitting another keyboard and I'm trying to get used to this. All right. I think Eric is out. Okay, I'll read the next one. How to circumambulate the Kaaba. Notice this picture. And you know what, to be honest, I didn't expect the curved piece to be there. You know, it almost looks like seating, like at a theater, that little curved area. It says in English, prior to circumambulating the Kaaba, one proceeds to the black stone, to the Kaaba's door on the east, on the east corner, drawing near to it, if one can do so without hurting others. Now, let me tell you what it says in Arabic. That's what's on the right. He means at the beginning of the tawaf, the circumambulation, the black stone, which is in the corner of that follows the door of the Kaaba from the east side, and approaching it on it does not harm. Again, this is, you can't approach it without, if you're going to crowd somebody. Now, people, there are literally thousands of people in this area. I don't know how you can do some of these things without pressing up against somebody, without causing accidental harm, there's things that are asked to do. We talked about this where you're supposed to be rushing as you're going around. If you're male, not allowed to do so if you're female, but you're supposed to escort your wife. So I think you bring her the second time around. This is a huge moneymaker. All right, let me finish this one up. And this is the part that makes me sick to think about. Okay. Everybody pay attention to this one. And I think 5.2. We're still going here. By jostling. Okay, we said if without hurting others by jostling. One faces the black stone, places the hand on it without a word, kisses the stone 3 times, touches the forehead upon it thrice. Touching, kissing, and placing the forehead on the stone are only sunnah for women when the circumambulation area is vacant, whether in the night or day. That's what it says. Now listen closely. This is what it says in Arabic. And I got this double checked by Usama because this would be the piece that I say put the warning out about. It says, so he faces it with his chest and receives it with his hand, then kisses it without making a kissing sound and prostrate on it, and repeats the kissing and prostration on it 3 times. What is meant by prostration on him is placing the forehead on it to follow, but rather the receipt, kissing and prostration of the women if the event is empty, day or night. Did you hear any female pronouns at the beginning of this? Because I didn't see any. And this is where it gets interesting. All those it's are hims. So he faces him with his chest and receives him with his hand, then kisses him without making a kissing sound and Okay, when you're prostrate, you're laying down on the ground, face down. And repeats the kissing in the prostration. Wait a minute, you're on the ground facing down. You're supposed to be kissing this stone, which is in the Kaaba. You'd have to stand up for this. So this is where things get really strange. What are they describing here? Not describing somebody standing up. Kissing, prostration on it 3 times. What is meant by the prostration, they said, is placing the forehead on it. Okay, I would say on him to follow, but rather the receipt, kissing and prostration. And you get kissing and the prostration of the woman if the event is empty day or night. This could be a sex act. It doesn't make sense no matter how many. It makes more sense than the English claimed translation, but that is more of an interpretation than a translation. What you see below is a translation. I used Google Translate, and then I talked with Usama about what was accurate. And he said, it just needs a few things in it. Okay. We talked about the pronouns. There's no neutral, like there's gender specific pronouns. And so that means male and female. And that makes sense. So most languages have male or female. We're talking about this, but in Islam, there's no neutral. There's no neither. Okay. You'll find that some languages that's normal, but when you don't have that, things take on a slightly different tone, especially when you're talking as blandly as this is. I was kind of surprised. Now, here's the thing I need to remind everybody about. And let me pull up my notes so I get this right. And here we go. We talked last week about how Abu Bakr, sorry, not last week, but a couple weeks ago, we talked about Abu Bakr's trip. And he made this trip. This is the second year before the death of Muhammad. Okay. He is sent there to announce that there will be no naked people allowed to be running around the Kaaba, and there will be no polytheists. And Usama was reminding me that the reason Muhammad didn't go, is he thought he might get killed for giving this order. Yeah, he had that much faith in Allah to protect him that he believed the polytheists would kill him. So he didn't show up this year. That's why he didn't lead the Hajj. He sent Abu Bakr and Ali to do this. Oh, you know what else he did? See, they gave that announcement. And at the same time, when they were there in Mecca, they read Surah 9 and they revealed it. So they were telling the polytheists, show up, we're going to kill you. That is quite a statement. And at the same time, they had said to them, this is from the hadith on Surah 9. Jalalain said this about Surah 9. You call it the book of repentance, but I call it the book of torment. He talked about it. They talk about it removing the security of Mecca. Now you're going to live by the sword, and this is being stated again to Mecca. After Muhammad, After Muhammad removed from the invasion of Tabuk, Mo decided to go on the Hajj, and he remembered that the polytheists were coming, and he hated to be around the polytheists. And this is talking about this is it. Mo did not go on that event because he was scared he might be attacked by the polytheists. Wasn't worried about running around naked around the Kaaba because he'd done that for decades. Running naked around the Kaaba, men and women. Now, if you take a look at how the black stone is placed into the Kaaba, and you look at the symbolism there, you start to wonder, is this a sex cult? Well, if men and women are running around something that looks like female genitalia, naked, you have to start to wonder if this originally, as it's claimed, was a pagan place of worship, was a fertility goddess worship. I mean, those are things to ask. I don't think Mecca was there, but what have they done? Have they revived a fertility goddess or god's worship? It's something to think about. And these words here should make us think about that. All right, let me get back so I can see. Okay, here we go. Going on. This is, okay, that's a little bit above the head. Thank God. All right, Sharon, I'm going to pick on you again. Can you read down, yeah, pretty much the whole piece there?
Oh boy.
It's a long one, I'm sorry.
Okay. One ceases to chant Labbaik at this point, not to resume until after having finished both circumambulating the Kaaba.
Ambulating, yeah.
Okay. About just circling the Kaaba and going
Yeah.
between Safa and Marwa. One puts the center of one's mantle under the right arm and its two ends over the left shoulder so that the right shoulder is left bare. One begins circumambulating by first standing facing the Kaaba with the black stone on one's right and the Yamani corner on one's left, standing back from the stone a little towards the Yamani corner, behind the black stripe and the marble pavement extending out from the stone that marks the beginning of one's circling. Sorry.
That works for me.
One should intend performing the circling for Allah Most High, though this intention is only necessary for a supererogatory or departure circling, not for an obligatory or arrival circling, since the intention to perform the rites of Hajj or Umrah includes the intention for the latter two types of circling.
It's a lot of words that say very little. I don't like. I have to. I'm not a big fan of the word historicity, but the more I learn about history, I'm becoming a favorite. This word circumambulate. You go in a circle. That's all it means. Okay. I don't know. Circling is pretty. It's pretty simple to say what's the purpose and. Okay, it means circumambulate means you had to get up off your butt. You can't just go in a circle. Can't get on a chair. Ambulate means you walk it. Oh, it can mean you run it. It can mean you jog it, but you're moving on two legs. Let me read part of this translation here. It's hence he stops reciting the Taliba, which is what, again, they called it Labayak. Does not say the prophet or Sa'al until he has finished both of them. Then he lies down. I want you to think about this. You're circumambulating, and now you got somebody lying down in the middle of his robe, placed in the middle of his robe under his right shoulder and throwing it. Hey, they're in front of you. All of a sudden, they're laying down. Again, this is the translation. You got to sit here and wonder what's going on. Over on the left, it had said, I don't think it said anything about laying down. And this is where it gets really confusing. What's more important, to read the Arabic and get the exact translation, or to take the claim translation, which I don't think it's very accurate. The more I read and the more I learn, this is something that needs to be asked. What are they really trying to do? What's the point here? I mean, what's so important about this Yemeni corner? What is so important about this black stone? And you're going to see a lot of reverence to certain things. Next up, it says, then one places the hand on the black stone and then kisses it and places the forehead on it thrice, 3 times, as mentioned above. And says Allahu Akbar 3 times. Okay, places the hand on the black stone, then kisses it, places the forehead on it 3 times, as mentioned. Okay, now you say Allahu Akbar 3 times and adds, "O Allah, out in faith in you and to affirm your book, fulfill your covenant, and follow the sunnah of your prophet." Did you catch this? Listen closely. "O Allah, out of faith in you and to affirm your book, fulfill your covenant, and follow the sunnah of..." Wait a minute. Is Allah following the covenant of this? I mean, your covenant is talking about Allah's covenant, and follow the sunnah of your prophet. It almost sounds like they're swearing to Muhammad. All right, maybe that's just their English translation. Okay, let's take a look. What does it say in Arabic? So he intends to circumambulate for Allah Almighty. And the intention is only in the tawaf of transport or the tawaf of farewell, not in the tawaf of obligatory tawaf or the tawaf of arriving, including the intention of performing rituals for these types. Then he takes the stone in his hand. It doesn't move, so you can't take it in your hand. You'd have to move your hand. Then kisses it and prostrates on it 3 times. Okay, this would have to be a stone on the ground. So we see this now repeated. Was the stone on the ground at this time? Is what when they wrote this. You're prostrating on the ground. It makes you. This is making us ask questions. Where was this stone? Was it on the ground or in a building? And says Allahu Akbar 3 times and says, "Oh God, out of faith in you, in confirmation of your book, in fulfillment of your covenant, in following the sunnah of your prophet, and in faith." Out of faith in you, confirmation of your book, fulfillment of your covenant. And so this is the person following the sunnah of Allah's prophet. But again, the translation in English was really, really bad. And this is the Arabic translation from, I'm crediting Google Translate for this. It's still problematic. All right, we're back to you, Sharon. 5.4, please.
Then one moves sideways, as is recommended, to the right, passing in front of all of the black stone with all of the body, while facing it. When past the stone, one turns, so that the Kaaba is on one's left, and then proceeds to circling it. If one did this, kept the Kaaba on one's left while passing the stone, and from the beginning and neglected to face the stone, it would likewise be permissible.
Hey, I got a question for you, Sharon. You've seen how many thousands of people can go there. Do you think this would be difficult stepping to the right? Because you're now stepping into the masses.
Yeah, and you know what I've heard? I'm not sure if it happened this year, but people have been killed because they've been stampeded. Well,
that's the picture this keeps giving to me. If you're following this, you're stepping directly into the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, you should be moving straight ahead. How do you get out of this when you're in the center? There's no explanation. You got to join the crowd.
Yeah. When you got a crowd like that, there's no stopping the crowd because people can't see what's like up front. So they're still moving.
Yeah. And I think this is Allah with a small mind. He couldn't see how many people would join his group. And again, yeah, I like this. Allah is not all powerful. Allah's home is in the Kaaba, not in heaven. Yes. So this is kind of a problem because Allah can't even predict how big the Kaaba will be because it's 300 or 400 times the size of what it originally was according to history. We're going to get into the history in a minute, and there's a reason we will. This is weird stuff because if you do this with the thousands of people that come, they're only allowed to come 1 month during the year to do your Hajj. Everybody in the world is only allowed to come 1 month during the year. So think about that. I mean, literally, there are thousands of people there every day, and you think that this can be done easily, and that's a huge problem. All right, J5.5. At the Kaaba's door, one says, "Oh Allah, verily, this house is your house, the sanctuary, your sanctuary, the safety, your safety." Allah has a need of safety. Did you catch this? Your sanctuary. This is what the English translation says. Your sanctuary, the safety, your safety. Allah needs safety. And this is the station of him who took refuge in you from the fire. That's the translation. Through those some hold, the words mean him who takes refuge, alluding to oneself. Now, word for word from Arabic and courtesy Google Translate, it says, and he says at the door, oh God, this house is your house. The sanctuary is your sanctuary. The matter is your nation. And this is the place of the one who seeks refuge in you from hellfire. Does that even sound close to what they told us in English? They mentioned fire. They didn't talk about hellfire, did they? They didn't talk about Allah. I mean, in the English, they talk about Allah needing safety. But it's not here in the Arabic. It's gobbledygook.
I thought the rock was its own entity that's supposed to come alive at the end, at their judgment day.
Yeah, at some point we'll be getting into that. I haven't done that today. I just haven't had the time to spend more time on that. This I've read about it. I just, you're starting to wonder, is it on the ground because they're prostrating on top of it? Is it in a building like it's currently? When this was written, where was this? I mean, how small was this place? How few people were there that followed Islam that they didn't have to worry about running into crowds? Because they're talking about something simple. And that's not something simple when you've got thousands of people there at the same time. I don't think they had a clue where this would go. And that says something. All right. Can you read 5.6, please?
When one reaches the corner by the opening of the Hijr, one says, "O Allah, I take refuge in you from doubt, from ascribing partners to you, from discord, hypocrisy, evil traits, and from bad turns of fortune in money, spouse, and children." Now they're equating the rock with Allah. Is that what they're doing?
They're equating the house as Allah's house, from doubt, from ascribing partners to you, so they basically have just said all Christians are committing shirk. Okay. Hypocrisy, so that could be some of them, which would be Shiites. They don't like Shiites. Evil traits, from bad turns of fortune. This is my biggest problem here, is from bad turns of fortune in money, spouse, and children. Bad terms of fortune in money, spouse, and children. Fortune in money, fortune in spouse. I mean, I would really be curious to what they think about the word fortune. And we'll get into that. So what do I have for 5.6? Let me just double check my translation here. 5.6, I have. And he says at the door, "Oh God, this house is your house. The sanctuary is your sanctuary. The matter is your nation. And this is the place of the one who seeks refuge." Okay, that's 5.5, 5.6. When he reached the corner at the opening of the stone, he said, "Oh God, I seek refuge in you from doubt, polytheism, discord, hypocrisy, bad morals, and bad behavior in money, and family and children." I mean, family and children and bad behavior. It's worded a little better, but it's problematic because of what it's saying about family and children and money. They follow the term bad morals to begin with. And I think there's a whole problem the way, even with the order of this sentence and the structure of it. This is, again, I have been told over and over again, the Arabic is problematic. Well, how about this next one? J5.7. Can you read the English part, please, Sherry?
You mean on the
left, yeah.
Okay. The Kaaba is in the desert. How often is there rain?
No, on the left, 5.7.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, on the right, left. Okay. Um, when even the rain spout, called the spout of mercy, at top of the Kaaba, one says, "O Allah, shade me in your shade on a day when there is no shade but yours. Give me to drink from the cup of your prophet Muhammad, and a wholesome drink after which I will never thirst."
So let me ask everybody, is this, okay, like I said, the Kaaba's in the desert. How often is there rain? That's not going to happen very often. And there's a reason we're talking about this. This spout, this rain spout, has a name. And listen to what they said. Give me drink from the cup of your prophet Muhammad. Okay, this thing wasn't there when Muhammad lived. This spout was not there. All right, we know that. And this is where this gets funny. But think about it. How cruel is Allah to make fun of a man by requiring him to circle a building in the desert and telling him if it rains and he gets water from the spout, he'll never thirst again? This is just, literally it says this. And he says in front of the gutter, "Oh God, shade me in your shade on the day when there will be no shade but your shade. Give me a drink from the cup of your prophet Muhammad. Congratulations, I'll never feel thirsty again." Like, so let me share with you. And I get my mouse in the right spot here. I think this is it. Okay. This is what they're talking about. The Mizab al-Rama. And I got this off of Hajj-Umrah-Planner.com. This is something to think about. The Mizab, again, that's that little spout. It's the drain from the roof. The water spout of mercy. The water spout of the Kaaba, a fixture located on the northern side of the Kaaba, extends towards the Hijr Ismail and serves as a drainage system for water that accumulates on the roof, whether from rainfall or washing the Kaaba with Zamzam water. Wait a minute, Zamzam water, that's pumped in water from God knows where. Okay. And take a look at this history. The installation of the Mizab takes back to the Quraysh tribe who initially built the Kaaba without a roof. Wait a minute. Why do you need gutters if you don't have a roof? This does not make any sense. The Quraysh undertook the task of roofing the structure out of concern for safeguarding the treasures. Well, again, this is problematic because there's no evidence that it actually existed during this time period. There's a lot more evidence that it did not. And this is, again, problematic. I've been going through this. There's another piece here I have on history. And let me pull that up. And again, using their information. This comes from the pilgrimage.co. There is no place on earth venerated as holy as Mecca, right? Who built the Kaaba? There's claiming Abraham. The Kaaba was built by Prophet Abraham. Well, that's severely problematic because Abraham did not live anywhere near there. Never went near there. All right. If you get rid of all that, what do we know? Even on their own page, they said it's been reconstructed several times. It's not exactly the same Kaaba that was constructed by, now they're saying, prophets, Abraham and Ismail. Well, there's no point where Ishmael is called a prophet. No point. I don't think you'll find that any place where Ishmael is called a prophet. I know it's not in the Bible. There has been an average of one major reconstruction every few centuries. The last renovation took place in 1996 and was extremely thorough, leading to the replacement of many of the stones and restructuring of the foundations and in the roof. It contained 2 doors and a window. That's the original Kaaba had a door for entering and another for exiting. The drapes were of many colors. We're used to the Kaaba being covered in trademark black kiswa drape. Again, they are saying this black that you see at the Kaaba is silk. Think about that, with gold banding. And this is this very fabric that they're saying men can't wear, but they dress their holy place in it. The keys are held by one family. At the time of Mo, each aspect to do with the rites of Hajj was in the hands of different leaders of Quraysh. That's a claim. Okay. And now they're handing down these keys. And that's quite a statement. I don't know what you can believe with that. It used to be open to everyone. It says until recently the Kaaba was open twice a week for anyone to enter and pray. However, due to rapid expansion in the number of pilgrims and other factors, Kaaba is now open only twice a year for dignitaries and exclusive guests only. Really, again, it's a forbidden place. You want people to come to make money, but you only open it twice a year. You consider it one of your most holy sites, but there's nothing in the Quran that says the word Mecca. And again, the place is called forbidden. Again, I can understand why you close if the place is called forbidden. Plaques inside the Kaaba. For years, it says many have wondered what it looked like inside the Kaaba. The interior of the Kaaba is now lined with marble and green cloth covering the upper walls. Yeah. There's another Kaaba directly above the Kaaba in heaven is an exact replica. Okay. Yeah, okay. I doubt that one. The black stone is broken. Oh, that's an old story. We've heard that many, many times. They say around in the year 930, a group called the Karmatians, who attempted diverting the Hajj, damaged it and broke it into 7 pieces. And then they say, number 10, it's not supposed to be a cube shape. The original dimensions of the house were semicircular. Oh, this is from a Hajj site, a Muslim site. You got to start asking questions when you hear some of this stuff. It's just too bizarre. I mean, this is just stuff that makes you go, what's going on? And why is this thing so important? This rain spout. I mean, if all these repairs were done, and this didn't exist during the time of Muhammad, which we know it didn't. I mean, we have no evidence of any historical evidence that Mecca existed, much less the Kaaba. All right. Eric, would you like to join us in reading J5.8?
J5.
Mr. Retired, congrats.
Don't hate. Okay, J5.8. Between the third corner, which is diagram number 7. Am I right here? Okay.
Yes.
And the Yamani corner, diagram 8, one should say, "Oh Allah, make this a pious Hajj, a rewarded effort, an accepted work, and a transaction that will never perish. Oh, all-powerful and oft-forgiving one."
I mean, does oft forgiving mean he's always forgiving or just sometimes forgiving?
It's often. Yeah.
Often. Okay. So not all the time.
Not all the time. Yeah.
All right. And can you explain what does pious mean? This is one word I'm hearing kids that just don't get it.
Piety is one who, or is the process of following a prescribed ritual or religion.
We could say faith, a faithful Hajj.
Right, but you could be pious to a lot of things. I don't necessarily know if it has to be a faith, but if you are pious to something, you are dedicated to it, or you treat it separately.
That's a good point.
Wait, hold on. Sincere, but unlike. Okay, it says devoutly religious.
I mean, consider.
making a hypocritical display of virtue is what we, well, this is what you accuse Muslims of being, superficially pious. They pray. I pray 5 times a day, and I fast, and I do this, and that's their piety. But the hypocrisy that's involved in all of that, I could see where this would apply. But sincere, but unlikely to be unfulfilled. Let me see what Merriam-Webster: a marked or showing reverence for deity or devotion or divine worship to divine worship. Yeah, sacred or devotion as distinct from profane or secular. Showing loyal reverence to a person or thing. So yeah, it's the process of showing reverence to something, I guess.
In Arabic, it says, and he says between the third pillar. You notice they're not using the word pillar; they're using corner. And they had said just a minute ago when I was reading, and I was talking about it, was in a semicircular fashion originally. And he says between the third pillar, al-Yamani, oh God, make it an accepted Hajj. You're going to see how this is very, very different. A praiseworthy endeavor, an acceptable deed, and a trade will not be tabor or aziz or gafur. Like, wait, why is this so different? I mean, what are they hiding? Why did they need to change so much that they put all this in? So I'm kind of wondering why they had to do that. Sharon, can you read 5.9, please?
When one reaches the Yamani corner, one does not kiss it, but touches it and then kisses one's hand. Okay. Mute me.
Oh, don't make the kissing sound. Don't make the kissing sound. That's the one thing they don't want you to do. Oh my gosh. That they're so concerned that you can't make the kissing sound. Oh my, yeah. Oh. You're not allowed to make that sound.
I made a boo-boo.
When the Yemeni corner is reached, no say it, but he receives it and kisses his hand after that. Again, this is word for word translation using Google Translate. It's not perfect, but it makes you sit there and go, what? I mean, that doesn't necessarily say the same thing. It's pretty close this time. J5.10. One does not kiss any of the Kaaba. Think about that. And if I skip down to accept the black stone, nor does one touch any of it except the Yemeni corner, which is the one before the black stone. Now look at 5.9, 5.10 on the left. He does not accept anything from the house, does not ask to kiss it. If he kissed any of its parts, it's not disliked, but rather it's good, except the black stone, and no, he receives nothing except the Yemeni, and he is the one who accepted it, black stone. That doesn't necessarily make sense when you read that. That's as good as it gets. Eric, how about 5.11?
5.11. When one reaches the black stone, you can feel the anticipation. When one reaches the black stone, one has completed a single round, provided its conditions have been met. Whatever. Okay.
All right. Hey, Nicodemus made it. All right, what is the translation here? And I have 5.1's translation. Oh, and I didn't put it up here. I thought I did. All right, let me pull that up. I have 5.11, just a second. 5.11. Then when he reaches the stone, black has completed his tawaf. Oh, now it's, yeah, okay. Try it again. One reaches the black stone, one tawaf has been completed for him. And talking about fulfilling the conditions. All right. Nicodemus, do you want to read?
Sure. Why not cramp your style?
Okay.
Since I'm here.
Okay. 5.12, please.
Okay. One goes around the Kaaba 7 times. The 7th ending where one began at the black stone. One's circumambulation is incomplete as long as even a span remains between oneself and the place, even with a stone. Okay.
So it says here he does this 7 times. This is the Arabic translation from Google Translate. And the 7th time he ends with what he started with, which is the stone. So his circumambulation is not completed with anything that protects him by a sheer amount of water. I want you to think about this. You're going around, there are literally thousands of people in the same spot. Are you for sure going to kiss that stone? Or going to, each time? No. And this is what I'm betting is that they have, while this is the Sharia, there is no expectation, I believe, today of every time you get to kiss the stone. I think you only get to kiss it once, and that's before you leave. This is kind of like, okay, this tells you Allah didn't know how many followers he would have. He didn't know how big it would get. And he's definitely under, his rules just don't make sense with reality of today. So this is just kind of weird stuff. And as again, this is proof that Allah is not who he says he is. He's definitely not a God that can predict or see the future. All right, back to Sharon, 5.13, please.
5.13. It is sooner. Okay. It is sooner in the first 3 rounds of circling to hasten one's gait, if one can do so without harming others.
Okay, stop there for a second. If you got 1,000 people in front of you, let's say maybe 500, we'll make it 300. Is it going to be a safe move to run into them?
No.
Yeah, without harming others. Oh, I think you'll be harming yourself if you do that.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. Taking close steps without running, which is termed trotting, and which is desirable for men only, not women. Both trotting and bearing the right shoulder are only called for in circumambulation that are followed by going between Safa and Marwa. If one wishes to go between Safa and Marwa after one's arrival, circling, then one does the 2 sunnahs.
So now we're talking about prayer in the middle of all this going around. I mean, this is going to be a problem.
Hey, I got a question. Do kids do this? This would be a lot to remember for kids.
That is another point. I mean, there are so many rules, so many things you have to do. I mean, 2 sunnahs, okay. You're not bowing down and doing this. I mean, you're doing 2 sunnahs. You're repeating something, a reading. You'd have to have directions on you at all times. Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why they allow men to carry bags.
Oh, yeah. Okay, one does not do these 2 sunnahs because that circling is not followed by going between Safa and Marwa if one already has gone between them before. But if one wishes to go between Safa and Marwa after the going forth circling, which is superior, one postpones the 2 until then. That doesn't make sense.
It's just kind of bizarre. It says, while trotting, one says, "Oh, Allah, make this a pious Hajj, a rewarded effort, and forgive my sins." In the last 4 rounds of one's circumambulation, it's Sunnah proceeded at one's normal pace while saying, "My Lord, forgive me, show me mercy, and pardon that which you know. Verily, you are the all-powerful, most generous." It says, "Our Lord, give us what is good in this world and the next, and keep us from torment of hell." The supplication is particularly recommended in the odd-numbered rounds. So you say something in the even rounds, and you say something in the odd-numbered rounds. And then you say something on certain rounds. This is going to be hard. Now, notice this part, quid pro quo, something for something is what this means. All right, you give something, you get something. All right, listen up again. It says, "My Lord, forgive me, show me mercy, pardon what you know." Okay, supplication particularly recommended in the odd-numbered rounds. Reciting the Quran while circumambulating is better than making supplications that have not reached us. Oh, reach 2? You see the us there? I guess Allah has partners. through prophetic hadith, through supplications from hadith or superior to reading. This is getting problematic. You give something, you get something. You do this, you're supposed to get something. Now let me go back in. This is 5.13, and I thought I had put all of these in. And again, I ask you, beg for forgiveness. It says this. It is sunnah. 5.13 says this. It is sunnah in the first three of them, speeding up the condition of not harming others, so that the steps are close together without running. Is called. They call it sand. I don't know why. It's recommended for the male, not the woman. Rather, he and the iditibaba are prescribed in a tawaf followed by a sa'al, and for the one who performs a sa'al in the tawaf of coming. And he does not do them after the tawaf of ifada because it is tawaf. It's not followed by the sa'al, even if he performs the ritual prayer, the last of them. And this just gets... This is just so hard to read and understand. But again, it's all about you do something, you get something. That's what this is, a basis of this is. Eric, 5.14, please.
It is recommended to kiss the black stone in each round.
Hey, Eric, did they say you had to do it?
It's recommended.
But didn't earlier they say that that's, you have to kiss the black stone when you're going around? Now it's just recommended.
Here it's recommended, there it's not.
Sharia contradictions.
Right. Let's see. It is recommended to kiss the black stone in each round and to place the forehead on it each 3 times and to touch the Yamani corner, particularly in the odd number of rounds. Whew. If it is not possible to kiss the black stone because of the crowds or because one fears to hurt people or to be hurt by jostling, one may touch it with one's hand and then kiss the hand. If this is not possible, one may touch it with a stick or the like, such as a scarf, and kiss the stick. If this too is impossible, then one points to it or the Yamani corner with the hand, and it is sunnah to kiss one's hand.
So you can go here, never kiss the black stone, and have done your Hajj. And it's only recommended. I mean,
okay, what? Okay, what did they kiss in Iraq for in the first place? Because Muhammad did.
That's a good.
I mean, you traveled 3,000, 4,000, 6,000, 12,000 miles to kiss a rock?
And then you realize it's only recommended?
I heard it took away their sins. That's why some of them will do it when they're more older.
I mean,
I can't get there, so point at it. I traveled this far to point at a rock.
All right.
God bless
so
you.
Here's what it says in Arabic. The black stone is to be kissed during every, listen, 5.14, it says it's recommended in English, right? In Arabic, it says the black stone is to be kissed during every circumambulation. And it is also recommended to place the forehead on it 3 times. So was it a contradiction, or is it just a deceitful piece to English speakers? And likewise to touch the Yemeni. And in the strings, did you see anything about strings over there? Because I didn't. And in the strings, he emphasized if he is unable to kiss it due to the crowded for the black stone, or he fears that it will harm people, that he will harm others, he should touch it with his hand. If he is unable, he should touch it with something like a handkerchief and kiss it. And if he is unable, he should point to it So
You
it
know,
says
Paul,
here
you
it's
would
supposed to
hit it
happen.
the way that I would point to it. Probably,
With a certain finger, probably.
I would probably get the digitus imputicus
Yeah.
time. But you know, this reminds me of when I was in Italy. We used to go to St. Peter's Basilica up in Rome quite a bit. Whenever somebody come visit us, or we decided to go to Rome, we go to St. Peter's Basilica. Inside St. Peter's Basilica, they have a statue of St. Peter. And one of the things that Catholics do in order to show reverence to Peter is there's on the statue, it's made of black onyx, or I can't remember what kind of stone, but it's a beautiful black stone. And it's a statue of Peter sitting down with his feet crossed, I think. And people come by and they rub the stone, and then they kiss their hands. And it's to show, reverence to Peter. Well, that stone has been his feet. You can't even see where his feet were hardly anymore. All of it is just one blob. Everything else is meticulous. You can see his fingers, his hands, the way, his face. But that's just because of the century, I guess it's been centuries. People walking by and running their hand across that stone and doing that. What I would like to see is a picture of the black stone today. What are they kissing, and what does it look like? If everybody and their brothers running their hand across it, if they're smooching on, I'd like to see.
Well, it's covered now. I mean, Sharon's put one up. Oh my gosh.
That's great.
All right. I had one. Go back to this, and it's close to. All right, let me see here. We can go back. The closest thing I had was this. You see where the people are gathering over here. All right, we'll pull one picture up in a second. This black stone. Let me pull one picture up and put it over there. This is just insane, this stuff that you find out. And it's actually covered with fabric. So you're not kissing the stone anymore. You're kissing plastic. And I want you to think about that. And let's pull this up.
So that you can't even actually touch the stone anymore.
That's correct.
Wow.
And that image just looks creepy to me.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's just what I mean. Come on, guys, you could have done so.
All right, here's another one. That looks worse in some ways.
Yeah, I'm trying not to say anything.
Yeah, it does look like a feminine genitalia piece. I mean,
To me, it looks like a toilet.
Then there's that.
that's close. Oh, was it your show? Wasn't it your show, Eric? That wasn't it your show that the guy was on? You had like this picture that I'm going to put this picture, and the guy was swearing that's a toilet. I thought it was your show. I was sitting there laughing because all you had done was you had just zoomed in, I think, on the Kaaba. It looked like a toilet. The
Hey,
guy
Paul,
was flipping out.
on the upper left there's a picture of, it says, in a first, Saudi Arabia releases photo of black, ... Is that it today?
It says in a first,
Or we meant it today?
especially this is from 2021, especially processed high resolution images of Al-Hajar, Al-Swad, or the Blackstone. And get rid of this. Look at this.
It's not that black.
It looks kind of grayish now. And that's 49,000 megapixels.
So is that what the Muslim women wear?
I mean, it says something when they don't have answers to this. I mean, it's sad. It's truly sad that they don't. Oh, we're getting to this piece here. Okay. We just finished. Did we finish this? Yeah. Yeah, we did. Okay. We're on to 5.15. And let's see. Eric just read. Would you like to read, Nico?
Sure.
Okay.
A noteworthy detail here is that there is a buttress at the base of the Kaaba that resembles a ledge and slide. It is part of the Kaaba, and when one kisses the stone, one's head is in the space above the buttress. So one is obliged to keep one's feet motionless until one finishes kissing the stone and straightens up, after which one continues circumambulating. One may not move one's feet as part of the circumambulation, while one's head is within the space above the buttress, as it nullifies that particular round because of the condition. That circumambulation be done around the Kaaba and not within its confines. If, when leaning over to kiss the stone, one's feet move even a finger's width towards the Kaaba's door, and after this, one continues circumambulating, then that particular round does not count. Nor do the others that come after it. If one limits oneself to just those 7, considering the spoiled one as a valid round, but if one adds an extra round to make up for the invalid one, the one's circumambulation is valid.
Okay, so this is the insanity here. Okay, you go there, you do everything you're supposed to, but if your feet moved slightly, everything's in vain. I mean, we looked at the prayers where Allah says prayers are invalid. If you don't do this, if you do that, if you don't do this, if you do that, if you fart, they're all invalid. Yeah. And here we go. The black stone. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Eric, you want to share on this?
Well, it was just I was just Googling images of the black stone, and this came up, and this kind of gives you gives you the pieces that are in that corner of the Kaaba, because evidently it juts out from the corner of the Kaaba. And I knew that the black stone had been busted up into different. I didn't realize it was busted up into 15 separate pieces. So I didn't.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
the silver frame. I knew that.
It's a reddish black, and that explains that picture that you had shown.
I don't remember ever hearing about it being reddish. That kind of surprised me.
Yeah. That was kind of surprising.
Rises from the ground. Do you see this little buttress thing they're talking about here? That's on the bottom. That's just, I mean, there's just so many restructures of this place.
This right here?
Yeah. That piece down there. Yeah.
That looks like it's an anchor for the blanket that they put over the Kaaba itself.
Yeah. Maybe that's to keep it from floating away.
From getting blown off during a sandstorm or something. You don't want it's like having your dress blown up, like the Marilyn Monroe scene. You don't want to see that happen.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let's keep going here. I'm going to skip this part. Okay. So the conditions of a valid circumambulation. I'll start this one. The conditions of a valid circumambulation, that one's nakedness be clothed, because the round is invalid whenever any of one's nakedness shows, even if a single hair of a woman's head. So that's why I put that picture in there. The woman gets in trouble for having a single hair out of place. Does the guy? No. All right. Such cruelty to women. It's just amazing. That would mean that the particular round a hair showed was invalid, provided it was done intentionally. It happened inadvertently, and the woman should immediately cover it. And there's another note on this. Okay, that's a note. Then there's a note on the note that says immediately, meaning after no more than the time required to say Subah Allah. Then, okay, now the notes are done. Or sorry, this is all notes. This whole thing is notes down here. From the point where it says a single hair out of a woman's head is out of place. These are all notes. And then I highlighted, though, if she does not cover it until after it is showing, wait, how would she cover it unless it was showing? So she has to cover it after it's showing. So the subsequent round, I mean, this is just, it says something about the illogical mind of the people who conceive these rules. I mean, especially picking on women.
Why would the showing of a woman's hair, and I mean, because we're talking about something that was done before God. Why would the showing of a woman's hair invalidate whatever from her and not a man's head?
Well, here's the obvious part. See, they never read the Torah, which they said is accurate. And in the Torah, it mentions that a woman's hair is the crown of glory. I mean, whoa, okay. So now your woman's hair is something pretty and beautiful. You don't have to cover it up. You don't have to hide it. I think this whole subjugation of women is because the men fear. They have such. They're fearful of women having the ability to say no. I think they're that. Selfish, they can't.
There's some Jews that the women cover their head. I don't know what branch of Judaism it is.
There are some that's true, but it's
but
I don't think it's
the totality of it as far as a form of worship. This is beyond ridiculousness.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. There are Christian denominations out there where women do cover their hair, but not to the point where you can't see any of their hair, or if you see any of their hair, it invalidates whatever type of reverence or worship that they have provided. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely.
This is like OCD over the top because a single hair causes a problem.
Yeah, and who makes this up? Who made this? Who made this rule?
So there's no. This is the point I want to keep coming to is that notice there is no hadith here. There's no Quran references here. There's no anything of Islamic scripture. No citations. Who comes up with these rules? Well, they're made long after the death of Mo. They're made long. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of years after Mo came along. And remember, they started out this with saying one's nakedness. Who ran around according to Islam, the one who ran around naked around the Kaaba was Muhammad. And he did it every time he went until 2 years before his death. Then he sent somebody else to say, hey, nobody can go naked anymore.
So he's streaking around the Kaaba, the prophet of God, the final prophet of God, is streaking around a Kaaba that has
with pagans. He's streaking with pagans and women at the same time.
Right, yeah. And what's Khadijah doing during this? Oh, she's dead.
No. She was alive when he was doing some of this.
Okay. So you said up to the last 2 years of his life, he's still doing this?
Yes.
So 15. So that means that this would have been 617.
So, and this 2 years before his death, that's when they say you got to start wearing clothes, and he doesn't go again. Thanks to the poison.
Right. So that must have done something. I could care less. It's sick. It's sick all around. I brought up a picture of women outside of the Kaaba, and you can look and see how tight those heads are wrapped. So it's that's
They're
just
trying to keep the brains inside, and I mean, yeah.
But this,
Women expecting women to make sure that it's safe for them to go around.
yeah,
And
you
maybe
can have your iPhone. You can get out your iPhone. That's okay, but don't you dare show any hair. We don't want to see. Well, what's this?
You know,
like a bottle of water.
there's a woman there on the left that has an iPhone out or something.
Yeah, right here. She's got her phone out. She's taking some pictures. It looks like the one that I just dropped in the river.
This is the stuff. Okay, so you'll see Christians will say, okay, we want to have a Christian retreat. Leave your electronics at home. We will have a bag that you can leave everything in. I mean, those are the kind of things you'll see Christians do on church retreats or in church even. Leave your stuff locked up here. We don't want to. It's time to spend with God, not with your electronics. But here they're okay with electronics, and they're worried about a single hair. Somebody has OCD problems. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Who's next? Is Sharon? Did you read already, or is it Nico? I can't remember where we're at. Sorry, guys.
Oh, I can read.
Okay, go ahead, Sharon.
But I gotta have something to read.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Getting distracted by the women, are you, Paul?
She has the hair showing. You can't.
Oh, without the hair showing, I'm sorry. I don't know if that's a guy or a girl wearing that dress.
There was one showing her hair. Okay, ritual purity for minor hadith and major janaba, impurity. Though for Hanafis, touching a marriageable member of the opposite sex, despite being unlawful, does not.
Oh, wait. Despite, you see that part about the Nafis?
Yeah.
Oh, that's gone.
Oh.
Those are notes.
Can I start over again?
Yeah.
Okay, ritual.
I did this on purpose.
Ritual purity for minor hadith and major janaba, impurity. And considering the difficulty of avoiding it at a contemporary Hajj, taking the dispensation seems a virtual necessity. C. To be free from impure substances on one's persons, clothing, and the place of walking while circumambulating. Hey,
wait, we got a problem here. Okay, so you're circumambulating, and someone's had an accident. They've peed on the floor.
Oh, geez.
What do you do now?
Tell them next time wear a diaper.
No, but you're behind them.
Yuck.
Okay. Okay, your Hajj is now invalidated. Your turnaround has been. How many hundreds of people would be?
You couldn't get out of there. You couldn't. You'd have to just do it.
And could you imagine they make an announcement? Well, due to an accident on aisle 5, everybody in aisle 5 has to go around an extra 2 or 3 times until we get this thing cleaned up.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
And you could blame it on the next guy.
And then you're like, yeah, I mean, what are you going to, I mean, you can't, I mean, how are you going to get someone to do the cleanup on aisle 5? That's the other thing. I'm sitting there like, they're the ones that said, even while, I mean, the place of walking. So you have to be watching where your feet are at all times. So you can avoid that. But that might mean you have to step into aisle 6 or aisle 7, and God forbid. Yeah. If you're supposed to be pious and you're supposed to be doing something faithful and dedicated, I don't know that you'll be watching where your feet are going. This is just a problem. I just see this as a severe problem. All right, it says takes place within, again, the forbidden mosque. All right, Eric, can you read C to H there?
Yeah. To be free from, C?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, E to H.
E, there we go. Okay. That one's circumambulation comprise 7 full rounds. So you got to walk around the rock 7 times. That it begins from the black stone, as described above, and that one pass by all of the stone with all of one's body. For if one begins from another part of the Kaaba, then the round does not count until one reaches the stone from whence it begins. Which makes sense. That one keep the Kaaba on one's left and move toward the door, as expressed in diagram whatever. And then H, that each round be outside of the hijra, whatever it is.
So you're all going in the same direction is basically what you're saying, outside the box.
Yep. Such that one does not enter the opening between the Hajj and the Kaaba and then exit through the other opening.
So you all have to keep going the same direction. You all have to, I mean, yeah, this is OCD overtime. And yeah. Nicodemus, would you like to read?
Sure. And all that of the body of the personal circumambulating by exterior to all parts of the Kaaba, such that while walking around it, one does not put one's hand in the space above the buttress previously mentioned, which violates the condition of being wholly outside all of the Kaaba while making one's rounds.
So touching the exterior of the building around the buttress area is bad, but you can touch the corner, the ameni corner, and that's good. So there's some things you can touch and some things you can't. So if you start to fall and you touch the buttress, too bad for you. You got extra rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everything besides the above conditions is sunnah, not obligatory, such as trotting in the first 3 rounds, the various supplications, and other things previously mentioned.
So while they said it was recommended, that's all it is. It's unnecessary. It's not obligatory. How much is unobligatory? I mean, those are the things you might want to start asking. I mean, they say it's obligatory that you go there once in a lifetime. Is it really unobligatory? Here's Eric. You put up this picture.
Yeah, this is how they're circumambulating. They're walking this way. But what I'm trying to figure out is what all these people are out here doing. You're taking a break. Is it that exhausting to walk around a rock where you got to sit down and watch everybody else do it?
Well, it pretty much implies, okay, so at some points, everybody will be bowing and praying because it's those times. So you got to sit here and wonder, if you're walking around and it's prayer time, everybody stops. So, there's a lot of questions. It looks like you have to do prayers while you're doing the circumambulating. So, again,
so something just looks a little uneven to me. Because it looks like over here, there's a lot more crowded. So when you're walking around, going around this thing, it seems like people would bottleneck over here.
That's because of the black stone.
That's because of the what?
The black stone.
I
think it's in that corner.
That side over here?
Yeah, I believe that's true.
Okay.
One of those 2 corners on that side, yeah.
Yeah, so if you enter over here, your first round doesn't count until you get over on this corner. And then you got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. And you can't make
kissing sound.
Can't make
but you can miss it.
that invalidates it. So if you make you got to start over, and you can't go backwards. You got to go around again. It's ridiculous.
So now you're up to 8, 9.
Maybe you're just a glutton for punishment, and you do it anyway. Say, "Oh, I made the sound. I'm sorry. I got to go walk again. You don't got your steps in for the day or whatever. Who knows?"
Or you have sex with a woman who wasn't willing, and now you got your whole Hajj is invalidated. Like, oh yeah. Or you sexually touch somebody. Again, those people who do those things, their Hajj is invalidated. But it's scary when you start thinking about what kind of a God invalidates those things which he requires.
Well, what I'm trying to figure out is how people can say with any amount of without any amount of hypocrisy, how can you say, well, Islam is the one true religion. Islam is, its origins are steeped in, the word of God, when it's clearly demonstrated just by this one act itself of walking around a rock in the middle of a desert where it's 130 degrees outside, for Pete's sake. And you're going to tell me that's pure monotheism? That's not paganism at all? That's not because they'll complain that, Christianity adopted, a pagan, it's steeped in pagan rituals, as far as blood sacrifices. Okay, go ahead and make that argument, but then at the same time, go ahead and make those same type of applications here. This isn't paganism here, walking around a rock and then having all kinds of rules to govern walking around said rock. It's sick.
Yeah, and sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just wanted to respond to the whole accusations, which are actually ancient, about Christianity being pagan. I mean, even Judaism, going back to Leviticus. I mean, if you look at it for the first time, I remember when I read that for the first time, I was like, whoa, what is this stuff? Like it definitely sounded, let's call it alien to me. But, all these things, in my perspective, the difference is that these are all things that are done in veneration toward God, directly toward God, not so much as some kind of separate ritual where you're focusing everything on, and your worship and veneration on, like a rock in this case, where the rock itself is supposed to forgive your sins or something to that effect. It's completely different.
I find it interesting that they look at Christianity, they'll say it's got some pagan stuff with it, but all of Islam originates in paganism. Their prophet was a pagan. I mean, he admits to hanging out with a polytheist and running around naked around the Kaaba, all right, with the polytheists. Gee, why would he be doing that? Okay, because he's probably one of them. Alat, the moon god, was there, and he was adored. These are, if Allah's real, if Muhammad's real, if Mecca was real, he was the guy that was hanging out. I'm not saying I shouldn't say if Allah's real. I really don't believe he is. But this is the guy that was hanging out with the polytheists. And this is not the kind of guy that would be accepted as a prophet. You don't hang out with the polytheists if you are a prophet. You don't threaten to kill people for insulting you. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what Muhammad did. He said, I will bring you slaughter to the Meccans. Now, there's a lot to be said for hanging out naked with men and women running around a pagan god or goddess. Well, again, there's 360 gods. Yeah, there probably was a god of fertility that was inspired all this. Yet Muhammad decided to keep these pagan rituals. Again, you have to think about who created this. If Muhammad created this, a lot of problems with it. And then all of this stuff we've read today was invented long after Mo was dead. because they didn't cite any hadith. They didn't cite any of the Quran. They're just making stuff up as it goes. And yet this is called Allah's law. Everything we read in this section on prayer, not one scripture. We have had a few hadiths on the Hajj. A few. There was a few hadiths, that, but there's nothing about this anal retentive. This is invalidated. I mean, there's nothing really. They don't have any hadiths to back this stuff up. That's scary. Someone can just come in and make things up. Yeah. And I think Elizabeth said this. The end of Islam is, Muhammad said, verily the faith would recede to Medina just as a serpent crawls back into its hole. Sahih Muslim 147. Yeah. This stuff has got to make us think. So I put up here a slide where you can go to Amazon or some other sites like Barnes and Nobles, and you can pick up my books. 1 Corinthians and Hebrews will be coming out soon. I'm working on getting that out. They're done. They're ready to go. I'm just having a problem with publishing. It's not my publisher that's the problem. It's the IRS that are given me difficulty about getting a certain number that I need. Haven't figured out why yet. That's kind of weird. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little advertisement for my last book, The Cancer of Civilization Jihad. And after that, we're going to open the floor for the topics. I know Sharon wanted to share something of a memory video. I'll play that. And we definitely need to talk about the insanity of what could be happening to our country as of tomorrow morning, if not tonight. All right. So we'll be right back after this little break. Supposed to be playing. Oh. It's not playing, is it?
No.
Interesting. It stopped playing.
It's a black screen.
That is weird. What happened to it? All right. I'm going to delete it. I'll put it. Let me try it one more time. All right. It's gone. I'll figure that out later. I can't put it up. I'm just going to say it. Pick up the book, Civilization Jihad, The Cancer Civilization Jihad. It has the social norms of Islam that should shock everybody. I know it makes Connie mad when she reads it. It's funny because I think people do get mad reading it. I've never been happy about writing a book that makes people mad, but if it makes them aware of what's going on, that's great. I think people get upset because they realize they should know better. And that's exactly how I felt when I was writing it. So it just says something. I did just share this with someone, trying to get someone to do a better video than I. In my own promo, I can only do so much because I can't sell me. But with that said, Sharon, you want to talk about that video, and I'll play that.
Oh, I was just asking about a video that you played on Osama's video, YouTube video, or you mentioned, and it had the imam in the LA area.
Yes.
Doing the call to Islam to the police, to the LAPD. And that call to Islam, if people don't answer it, then they go boom.
Well, tell them why you said that, though.
Oh, okay. Al-Qaeda, or actually I should say Bin Laden, he sent the call to Islam to Clinton, and then I guess Bush got it, but obviously nobody paid attention to it, and then 911 happened. The call to Islam is basically, if you don't answer the call, then you pay the price.
Well, they're supposed to be justified in attacking you since they called you.
Yeah.
That's the claim. All right, I am going to play this. I want you to think about this. This is a guy who memory caught preaching violence. And let me just play this. Tell me if you can hear the sound, please.
Yes.
The LAPD are just as terrorists as the Zionist state because they're teachers. They learn, they go. It is a known fact. People in the LAPD go to Israel and get trained in combat. Any of you people that are zalimun, any of you politicians that have given billions, if you today are going to return and turn back, any of you cops that are going to leave this lifestyle and become a Muslim, any one of you that are willing to turn back today, do tawbah and come back to Allah, welcome. And Allah will forgive you. But the majority of them do not take ibar, they do not take lessons from the people of the past. إِنَّمَا يُؤَخِّرُهُمْ لِيَوْمٍ تَشْخَصُ فِيهِ الْأَبْصَارُ. Allah is giving them time. Allah is rather letting them dig their own hole. We ask Allah to deal with them in this world and in the next. Allahumma alayka bis-sahayinati wa اللهم عليك بالصهاينة الظالمين ومن معهم من الشرطة والرؤساء اللهم عليك بهم. Oh Allah, deal with the Zionists. Oh Allah, destroy them. Oh Allah, annihilate them. Oh Allah, remove them from this earth. Make their destruction and their removal from this earth a sign for all of humanity, not just them, but those that support them, from the people with money and the politicians and the police officers that decide to support them. Oh Allah, deal with them.
And I watch that, and every time I see these speakers, they hide a lot of what they say by speaking Arabic. And one of the things Usama and I are noticing is that they are no longer hiding things. This is a problem. They're starting to feel bolder and that they can come out and say things like Nazi Zionist on a regular basis. They can say it without fear because they get rewarded for doing evil things. Like we had Biden go and build a pier for Gazans because they attacked and killed and raped 1,200 people. Oh, that's okay. They'll be recognized. They'll be given a country after killing and maiming and kidnapping and yeah. If we looked at all the people they took and we considered them all dead, we'd be about 1,500 people. I don't know how many have actually lived through this. I think we've had about 40 total return. Is that right, Eric?
What? Israeli
How many
hostages been returned?
How many total have
I'm
returned?
not exactly sure. It started, well, it's been over 100, if I'm not mistaken. It started out with like 240, and now it's down to like 125 or so.
Okay.
But many of those are dead, and they're just getting the bodies back. So yeah, when you start talking about it being upwards of 1,500 people.
I mean, all they had to do to end this war, I mean, it's all they've been asked for a long, long time, is simply return the hostages. And they won't do it. PIJ just sent out, this is Samuel Arian's group. They just sent out a video this week of one of the hostages, a young man, and Samuel Arian made a personal appearance in Turkey. Yeah. This is freaky, scary stuff. I do want to point out Kenneth's statement. Mugabe, the president of Zimbabwe, was glad that Islam is not dominating Zimbabwe, and the U.S. interreligious think tanks criticized him for that. He said, I lived in Zimbabwe, and I'm glad it is a Christian nation.
For now.
For now, yeah. There is so much Islam is trying to conquer and kill and maim, and doesn't matter where it is, whether it's here in the West or in the Middle East or wherever it is. It creates violence and hatred wherever it goes. And again, if you read the book that I put together, you'll see one of the last chapters is on, is there an Islamic social norm of teaching hatred? I suggest you read that, and the last chapter covers jihad. You got to have hatred before you can commit true evil acts. And yeah, I don't want to get into that because it just makes me sick. Teaching, that has got to be, that the concept of teaching hatred to kids is just mind-numbing. I wanted to get into a discussion on what's happening with Trump. He's now been found guilty of, was it 35 charges or 34 charges? And these are felony counts. And if you're guilty of a felony, and this would be 34 of them, he could be spending his life in prison. And I don't know how many people have been following this. I have been following this pretty closely. I listen to a YouTuber who he reads the transcripts every day, and I'm just kind of mind numbed having listened to everything. I mean, every day listen to something and trying to keep up with it. I can't even figure out. I don't know how the jury actually figured out the instructions that they were given by this judge. Anybody has any comments, please feel free to join and make a comment. I'm just kind of mind numbed that they could find somebody guilty when the law, he broke the law by giving these instructions. He broke federal law and state law by saying you can make up just about anything you want him to be guilty of, he can be guilty. And that's not part of our law. That violates our federal law. It's unconstitutional. It's just kind of mind-numbing. They don't agree on the premises, the elements of the crime. They can just make things up. It was thought before that this would be a kangaroo court. We had a kangaroo court judge. In my opinion, I sat there looking at a lot of this. And again, I'm in New York. I'm not in New York City. Thank you, God. We call that we don't consider that part of the state. Yeah, it's bad. I for the life of me, I can't figure out how they came up with a charge after listening to that. I don't know if anybody's been listening to it as much as I have, but
it just feels to me in general that a lot of the stuff that gets pushed in news and media is intended to be insightful. Not insightful. I made the spelling error before, by the way. Apologize again for that. But not insightful as in having good insight or having wisdom, but insightful as in trying to create more division. Like,
I would say this is insightful in trying to create violence. I'll go that far. And this is intentional. They want to. I think they don't want the elections coming up. I think they want to bar the elections and hold the elections. They don't want us to have a candidate because the thing that actually is true is if Trump has been convicted of a felony, his name has to be removed by law.
Removed from what?
All the election rolls.
Say that
because you can't be elected if you're guilty of a felony.
Well, that's not true.
Isn't it? But that was in there.
That does not disbar you with qualification for holding any public office. We have we have all kinds of public officials who have felony records.
I thought that was their intent, was to remove him because of he had a felony.
The intent was let's just take a look at the intent number one. The intent number one is to hamstring him from campaigning, is to keep him off.
That I understood, yeah.
Okay. Intent number two is to muddy him up, is to tie him up and bleed him financially for daring to stand up to the status quo. And then the intent number three is and we saw this with the 1873 insurrection, or the 1873 application of the 15th Amendment, I think it was, or the 14th Amendment.
Insurrection. Yeah.
Yeah, where you cannot have participated in an insurrection that was focused on the Confederate soldiers, who, by the way, still held public office after 1876 and the turning over of the Rutherford B. Hayes. But that's a whole other story. But the fact is that in order to keep, now, if you are an insurrectionist, then under that strict definition, you are not eligible to hold public office, and states therefore would be able to bar you from being a candidate for national office. The problem with that is that you first have to be convicted. They're putting the cart before the horse, and that's what they did in Colorado. That's what they did in Maine, and that's what they were thinking about doing in Minnesota or wherever the heck it was. In all of these, the left, the land of the leftist pigs. This is what they're trying to do. But having a felony, being convicted of a felony, does not prevent you from holding public office. That is if you look at in the strictest sense of the Constitution, that does not prevent you, and that they have to follow the Constitution when we talk about electing a president. You just cannot willy-nilly, states make up laws saying, well, you cannot be considered for the office of presidency in our state if you're convicted of a felony. You can't do that because it's a national election.
So they can't remove him. Oh, that's good. I thought that was the whole goal there. But no, it's muddy the waters. I like that you said that, because for the life of me, I could not figure out why they allowed Michael Cohen to testify. I mean, this is a convicted perjurer as a star witness. If you have a star witness, this is what I was just talking to somebody today, is like, would you want a convicted perjurer, to be allowed to testify against you?
Well, it sounds like a joke. This is what makes our country look like a pathetic joke. This is what it sounds like. What you're saying is that, okay, you have a convicted felon and a porn star testifying against a former president of the United States. They don't like him against a crime that was made up, initially was a misdemeanor, but since the statute of limitations ran out for the misdemeanor charge, now it has to be a felony. So they up it up to a felonious type charge, which I don't even know how they did this, but that's because
I can't figure it out.
But the fact is, it sounds like a joke, and it makes our country look like a joke in front of the entire world. And the precedent alone that it sets. And I was just looking at the news. Trump's fundraising site just crashed because too many people are donating. That should tell you a little bit about. But the whole thing it sets a precedent for future candidates and people going to run for election. Where now, let's say Trump gets elected in November. How many states' attorneys general do you think that there's going to be now when Joe Biden leaves office that are going to be looking at charging him with some type of influence peddling to China, or his son influence peddling to the Ukraine? How many do you think they're going to do that? And would you, Paul, object to that then?
I don't think the states have a right to, but I would sure like.
Hold on a second. The state has a vested interest in that influence peddling because their state is part of the United States. I mean, you can make that. This is how they went. This is how they made the connection to Trump in the state finance. This is what's so sick about this. It was a state financing. It was a state financing law that they charged him with when he was running for a federal election. So if you're going to do that to a president or a past president of Trump and up it like that, you can invent anything that you want, corruption charges, and make any applications that you want to. This precedent.
So New York State should definitely be able to throw where was that laptop found? I think you could probably charge the person who owned that particular laptop, who has actually admitted it's his lately, with child
Child
endangerment crimes. Yeah,
Child
because I mean,
trafficking
I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to be as light as I can on this and say child endangerment at the very least.
It-
I spoke with some police officers or agents, I should say, that had seen some of the stuff on there and like, whoa, yeah, that yes, somebody needs to be charged with a crime, and nobody has done that yet.
Well,
So
Paul,
I wouldn't be
back to my
surprised.
original back to my question though. Would you object to a state charging Joe Biden with some type of federal corruption or influence peddling, racketeering?
I think New York State would have quite a case.
Would you object to
Considering-
any state
No.
doing that
No, I guess I wouldn't.
based on okay?
Using this, I don't think it's right at the same time, but
No,
Yes.
and see that's the problem right there. It's not right. That's the problem. It's not right. But now what they've done the Slick Willie, they've done the Bill Clinton thing. What they've done is they have removed the moral expectations that a president should uphold. They knock that wall down. And once you start knocking those walls down, and what we expect the president, how a president should be treated when they are viewed, at least when they are running for office. Because I mean, look at Biden when he first ran for office in '88. He had to drop out because he was charged. They found out that he had plagiarized papers when he was in law school. I mean, who drops out of president race because of something stupid as that? Well, in 1988, that was a big deal. Then you look at what Slick Willie did. I mean, he removed that entire facade with him and Monica Lewinsky as far as the morality of the president, that we should hold the president to, saying, well, it was just, that's between a consenting man and a consenting woman. And let's just move on.org.
and he said, I did not have sex with that woman. And
He didn't say sex. He said an inappropriate relationship. Let's make sure we get the language right, because that's a Slick Willie.
Well, I'm pretty sure he said sex.
Well, the bottom line is that they set a precedent. That precedent now has continued to deteriorate and deteriorate and deteriorate. And now what we're talking about doing is now this is what you can do. You can go headhunting for president, people running for president, number one, and number two, past presidents. This is a precedent that is unprecedented because it makes us look like a banana flipping republic. It's scary, is what it is. And when we start looking at these other countries that practice these type of things, we're not far behind. I mean, the moral deterioration of this country is on a fast track to Hades. It really is. And this is a clear indication of people saying, well, it's Trump, so it's not a big deal. No, gunfighter. You just wait until the next person wields that type of power and puts somebody in charge of the Department of Justice that has the ability to do these things.
Well, we did have Merrick Garland sign off on use of lethal force warrant.
Right, yeah.
And so Trump comes out and he puts on Truth Social with that there was an allowance, a permission granted for use of lethal force. It's a good thing he wasn't home. I mean, they did plan this for.
It does not matter. It does not matter. This isn't just okay. When we look at the using lethal force, just think about this. Okay, the president this isn't just some mamby-pamby everyday run-of-the-mill search warrant that you're serving. This is a search warrant. This is a search warrant that is establishing a precedent where you can forcibly go into the home of a past president and search his premises under force. And you're going to tell me that the Attorney General was not aware, or this was just some type of paperwork a process of the paperwork in which these warrants are executed, you are a retarded person if you believe. And I don't mean
Well,
to
I mean,
retard.
yeah,
people
you
down
have to listen to his testimony in front of the Senate, and like they were asking him, and he's trying to say, "Well, this is a standard part of procedure." No, it's not.
No,
it's not.
A search warrant for a past president is nothing. There's nothing standard about that. And to allow the use of lethal force in the enforcement of getting a piece of paper back, are you kidding me?
That he'd already agreed to return papers. He just asked them. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, even the testimony.
The only thing I'm hoping, Paul, is that there's going to be enough people in this country to see this for what it is. This is a desperate. This is where the swamp has lost their mind, and they know that they can't beat this guy at the ballot box. I mean, when we think about the 2020 election, there's two things about the 2020 election that anytime I get talking to people about this, and I'm sorry, I never talk about never on the cross and the crescent, but I try to avoid it because I just get so flaming mad when you talk about the 2020 election. Joe Biden, campaigning from his basement, managed to get 25% more votes than Hillary Clinton did.
That's a mind number.
25. Now, I could say maybe 3 or 4%. Okay, because there's this uprising against Donald Trump. 25% more than Hillary Clinton and more than Barack Obama. Each of those candidates, I believe, got 63 and 65 million. Joe Biden got 81 million. And you're going to tell me that that's legitimate? You're going to try to tell me that Joe Biden, he inspires nobody. The only person that he inspires is insomniacs. This guy, he has no charisma. He's going to get 25% more votes than Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, who had campaigns where people were just on fire. I mean, you saw the way people melted down when Hillary didn't get elected. I mean, their tears are drying. They're screaming, "Oh my God!" Second thing, bellwether counties. 19 bellwether counties in the United States. Bellwether counties are those counties. You know what they are, don't you? Those are the counties. Those are counties who voted for the correct president in the last 10 presidential elections. They voted for Ronald Reagan in 1980, 1984, George H.W. Bush 88. They voted for Bill Clinton in 92 and 96, George W. Bush 2000, 2004, Barack Obama in 08 and 12, and they voted for Donald Trump in 2016. These counties all voted for the right president, crossing political spectrums 10 times in a row. There was 19 of them in the United States that had done this. In 2020, of those 19 bellwether counties, only one of them voted for Joe Biden. Only one of them, Joe Biden, win that vote. This is the equivalent of because I think there's like 2,300 count or something like that. This is the equivalent of taking 2,300 people. Think about this, and handing them 10 basketballs and saying, "Okay, I want you to shoot 10 free throws." And out of those 2,300 people, only 19 of those people make 10 in a row. So you take 19 people. Watch this now. Follow this. You take those 19 people and you say, "Here's a ball. Shoot a free throw." And you're going to tell me only one of them is going to make a free throw? The statistical improbability of that occurring is almost it's again, this is it begs credulity. And then to sit there and say, "Oh, well, you're an election denier." Well, I just say that you're a fact denier, you're a statistical denier. You're going to say that Joe Biden got 25% more of the vote than Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, or that he won, only won one bellwether county when there was 19 of them. Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's what they want you to do. So when we think about Donald Trump and him not winning the 2020 election, I personally, I think that was a farce. There's no way that he lost that election. Not to that idiot. But the swamp is in full meltdown mode.
So
now.
in LinkedIn, there's a guy going around and he is announcing himself as an agent of the DNC, basically, and he's saying, well, we can't allow Trump, we have to stop Trump, blah blah blah. And what's humorous is there's a large amount of people following him that say, well, we're voting for Trump. And my comment on his thing every time is, I'm not voting for Dementia Man. And my dad had dementia at the end, and it was sad. It was hard. My dad was highly intelligent, and you get to see, when you see someone who is highly intelligent, who sets a standard by what he believes and how he acts, and he's not sure of, he's scared at times with dementia, and that was hard. But you see this with Joe when he can't stand up, and there's a lot of things with dementia that he falls into. And I have yet to meet anyone who has a friend with dementia or a relative with dementia who can't see those symptoms. And this is, unless you're a reality denier, I mean, that's my biggest reason not to have Joe. Besides that, his policies are dangerous and destructive, and I don't think they're his policies. I am totally with him. I'm calling him old Biden.
They're not his policies. These, Joe Biden, when he was at the height of his game, was a brilliant politician. I disliked him immensely, but he was a brilliant politician. He is nowhere near what he used to be. He is a shadow of what he was. Even at the last time I saw him actually on top of his game was 2012 in that vice presidential debate with Paul Ryan, who ran with what's his face, Mitt Romney.
Yeah,
that's right. And he handed Paul Ryan his butt. And it's because he was a great politician, great debater, great orator. He is not 1% of what he was in that debate. And when you say dementia, my grandfather, I watched him. He ended up dying with dementia. And you're absolutely right. The same symptoms that you see with people, and as it progresses, this is, and we're not talking about the onset of dementia. We're talking he is into it. And to think that this guy is going to be elected for another 4 years, and knowing he's not going to get, and that would make Kamala president, that needs to be part of the Trump campaign big time. It's to sell that idea.
Yeah.
Even more people can't stand Kamala.
That's true. And yeah, I think that's something we all need to consider. My big thing I'm going to tell everybody tonight: get on your knees, pray for this country.
Amen.
Pray for your brothers and sisters in countries where Islam rules, because they are not safe. Every week out of Africa, I hear horrible stories. This week we covered a story in Nigeria that was just horrible. They killed 10 people in one village, and Boko Haram took 160 women and children, mostly women and children. It's happening every place Islam is allowed to rear its head. And that means it's going to start happening in your local community, because they're starting to get bold enough to believe that they can do these things. So again, it's time to get down on our knees. It's time to pray. That's the only thing we have left in this fight. We have to fight for America. We have to fight for whatever country you're part of, whether it's England, Scotland, Ireland, Sweden, Indonesia. The only way to fight now is to fight in prayer. And I started this show talking about how God answers prayer. And this week, my church saw 2 people healed of cancer. And we have another one, my friend's daughter, she had just had a kidney surgery, and she had surgery on one kidney, and the opposite kidney that had scarring, they can't find the scarring anymore. And that it was there. Scarring doesn't go away like this. So it's quite a statement that God can do these things. He does the impossible. So why not ask for that? Ask for God's help with these impossible things. With that said, good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us. God bless.
God bless. We'll see you Sunday.